Good afternoon, colleagues, and welcome to this webinar, Young Lawyers Mentorship webinar of the East Africa Law Society. We're going to kick off now. I'm going to welcome the Vice President of the East Africa Law Society to start us off.
Thank you, David. Good afternoon, every person. I assume everyone is hearing me well. So if there is no objection, I'm proceeding. So, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon once again. On behalf of the Governing Council of East Africa Law Society, it is my pleasure to welcome every one of you in this continuous program of East Africa Law Society on Young Lawyers Mentorship Series. So it is my pleasure that you have dedicated your time. I understand you are very busy in your agenda. You are young lawyers. Young lawyers, I normally, they have many activities to do because you are still young, you still have your energies. But also, we have to recognize that the seniors that you are together right now, they might be more busy than we are. I'm saying we are because me too, I'm part of young lawyers. Before I proceed, I feel indebted to extend my condolences to our brothers and sisters in Tanzania and Zanzibar because of the loss of the President, Dr. John Pombe Magufuli. So we are standing together with you, Tanzanians, Zanzibar, and East Africa. We are together in this time, which is very hard for you, which is again very hard for all of us. I want to recognize the dedication by our distinguished speakers for this afternoon. I have been trying to find from the lawyers you have in East Africa, I've been trying to choose those who are among us in diversity of practice. The speakers you have today, they have been chosen because of their they have distinguished themselves in different fields of practice of law across East Africa. Some have been there for a long time, for more than 20 years, for more than 30 years. But again, also, we have not forgotten that on the other side, you have some distinguished young lawyers as well, because to distinguish yourself, it is not a matter of time, it is not a matter of age. I know time matters, but also you can distinguish yourself while you are still a young lawyer. I also want to thank the Secretariat of the East Africa Law Society because they've been organizing these webinars and other meetings before. At this time, we are using those kinds of webinars because of some challenges that we are facing, basically related to COVID-19, where ordinary physical meetings are very difficult to be held this time. But the Secretariat has been doing a great work, regardless of the challenges that are imposed by the pandemic. I also want to recognize the support from our respective bar associations and law societies, Burundi Bar Association, Rwanda Bar Association, South Sudan Bar Association, Uganda Law Society, Zanzibar Law Society, Tanganyika Law Society, and the Law Society of Kenya. All those associations, they have provided a great support to our activities as young lawyers. So I thank the presidents of each bar association and the law society for the support that is provided to young lawyers until now. So ladies and gentlemen, today we have the statistics which indicate that more than 60% of East Africa Law Society members are young lawyers. So we represent more than 50%. So which means we young lawyers are heading this society in our hands. So it is critical and very relevant to be focusing on young lawyers development, because the future of East Africa Law Society, it is in the hands of young lawyers. So that is why we've been organizing virtual programs, including these webinars, and more are coming. So briefly, I take this session as a rare opportunity for young lawyers. So it is a session to learn. It is a session to discuss and interact with seniors, which is an opportunity, because those seniors, to find them, it's not easy. It is not every person who can be sitting together facing with Mohamed Nyaoga and the others. So this is a great opportunity for us. And since we started a bit late, I want to insist that you have to manage our time properly today. The session is programmed to last for 2 hours, from 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. East African time. That is 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. Kigali time and Burundi time. So until now, we are not yet late, except 1 minute. So I am expecting that it shall be as it was planned. So I want to give the floor to the moderator, Madam Esther Angawa, the council member of State of Kenya, to take over for the next programs. My time shall be back at 3:30 during the plenary session. So once again, I thank every person who is attending, and once again, I'm welcoming you all. Thank you. So Madam Esther, it is your time.
Thank you very much, Vice President of the East Africa Law Society of Kenya. Thank you to my seniors on the panel and my colleagues watching us from all over East Africa and beyond, I hope. Karibuni sana, welcome. I'll go through a very brief introduction of those with us today, and I'll begin with my senior counsel, Mohamed Nyaoga, who is a managing partner at Mohamed Muigai Advocates in Kenya. He's got a classic portfolio. I believe you have served in most of the largest parastatals in the country. You've given advice to the government and financial institutions and other bigger institutions in the country and the region, and your work speaks for itself, goes ahead of you. Thank you very much for joining us today, and we look forward to your keynote speech. Introduce Senior Barnabas Tumusingize from Uganda. Senior Counsel Nyaoga, perhaps, I don't know if you could mute your mic. Seems to give an echo. Perfect, thank you. Thank you very much, Senior. Senior Barnabas Tumusingize is the managing partner of Sebalu and Lule Advocates in Uganda, with 12 years experience in financial services law, advising banks, advising the National Security Fund of Uganda, which I was very pleased to learn is also called NSSF as well. We have NSSF in Kenya as well. He holds a Master's of Laws degree from the University College of London, a postgraduate diploma in legal practice from the Law Development Center, and a bachelor's degree from Makerere. Senior Barnabas Tumusingize, karibu sana. He'll be speaking to us later on the webinar. I'd like to welcome Senior Charles Ruechungura, the President Emeritus of the Tanganyika Law Society. I don't know if he's with us on the platform already. I can't see him, but I'm hoping that he will join us a little later on the program. He is the managing partner of CRB Africa Legal in Tanzania, majorly dwelling on mining and corporate and banking and financial law. He has a practice spanning many years, and he has advised on IPOs for various institutions that are listed at the Dar es Salaam Stock Exchange and the East African Development Bank, as well as the Eastern and Southern Africa Trade and Development Bank. That's PTA Bank of Africa. I hope he'll be joining us later on. Karibu Senior, if you're with us. Florida Kabasinga from Kigali, Rwanda. She's a managing partner of Sarta Law. I can see her on the platform. Thank you for joining us this afternoon. Florida is a managing partner of Sarta Law and has been has worked at the Office of the Prosecutor of the United Nations International Criminal Tribunal for Rwanda, that was dealing with the crimes against humanity in the country. She has also drafted and appeared before both the International Criminal Tribunal for the former Yugoslavia Appeals Chamber. She holds a Bachelor of Laws degree from Makerere University. She holds a Master's of Law degree from the International Human Rights Law, International Human Rights Law from the University of Notre Dame in Indiana, USA. She's a trained mediator and conflict resolution expert, and we look forward to hearing from her. She'll be speaking to us later on the ethical dilemma amongst young practitioners. We look forward to that. We're joined as well with Ajak Mayol Bior. I hope he's on or will be joining us as we go on. Ajak is the head of ALP firm in South Sudan. He is an expert in energy law, public procurement regulation, corporate management, and telecommunications and constructions law. He practices in South Sudan and has been a prosecutor and litigation counsel for the Ministry of Justice in South Sudan, as well as a legal advisor for MTN South Sudan. Thank you for joining us, Ajak, and welcome. Angie Doreen is with us. I can see her. Karibu Sana. Angie is a Chief Operating Officer and Senior Associate at Rubea and Company Advocates in Burundi. She holds a bachelor degree from the University of Rwanda and a master's degree in East African Community Law from the University of Dar es Salaam. She's been ranked by the Legal 500 Tier 1 in 2019 and is also a member of the East African Law Society editorial board. Philip Munabi, a young lawyer from Uganda, joins us as well. He's a partner at Munabi and Associates and serves as a chairman and company secretary of various companies in Uganda. I welcome you all and now take the opportunity to invite Senior Counsel Mohamed Nyaoga to give his keynote speech, as I believe he has another engagement and will only be with us for a short while. Thank you very much for joining us, and I hope you'll enjoy and stay with us until the end. Karibuni sana.
Unmute. Ladies and gentlemen, I think for me, I'm privileged to speak to you today because I'm a great advocate of mentorship in the legal profession. I believe very strongly that we don't do enough mentorship. And because of that, we have seen the creeping in of certain challenges to young lawyers and young lawyers and older lawyers in the profession. Though my speech today is directed at young lawyers, I believe it is also equally applicable to senior lawyers. The title of my opening remarks today is Packaging Yourself for Professional Opportunities, a Guide to Young Lawyers. And packaging really is branding, as I'll be pointing out later. But I start by saying that success is no accident. It is hard work, perseverance, learning, studying, sacrifice, and most of all, love of what you are doing or learning to do. These actually are the words of Pele, the great footballer. Being a footballer myself, it's no wonder that I'm quoting Pele. From his words, it's evident that success is as a result of choice. The choice to work hard, the choice to persevere, the choice to study and learn, the choice to make sacrifices, and even the choice to love what you have chosen to do. This afternoon, I shall not speak about success and the stories of rising from grass to grace through sheer hard work and struggle. I shall instead speak about an important catalyst of success, opportunity. It is said, sorry about that. It is said that success occurs when preparation meets opportunity. It is therefore important that one knows how to prepare for opportunities, because opportunities rarely present themselves twice. One may say they are like a first impression. And you often hear people using the term window of opportunity, not door of opportunity, because the window is narrower than the door. So the opportunity comes once and may never appear again. As a lawyer, especially a young one, the first step towards preparation for the opportunity is developing a personal brand. What is it that you're identified by and with among your peers? Your superiors at work, your seniors in the profession, your clients, your adversaries, judges and tribunals that you appear before, members of the public that you constantly interact with. What are you identified with? You are in a service industry, so you are the commodity. You have to package yourself in a manner that enables you to stand out. In order to do so, you need to have a personal brand. Whether you are employed in a law firm or as an in-house counsel, or you are a sole practitioner, it is important that you are identified by something unique and distinct. The way to do this is through a personal branding. So, what is a personal brand? And how does one develop the personal brand? A personal brand can be summarized into three key components: personality, skills, and values. These are often expressed when one shares their thoughts and opinions with others. It is what people see as our identity, how we are viewed, and what qualities and things they associate with us. It reveals who we are and what we offer and what we value. Everett notes that having a strong personal brand is about projecting a strong, consistent personal brand image for oneself through the way they talk, the way they behave, their body talk, sartorial and grooming skills, and then taking control of their visibility to manage their own public relations. Humans are impressionable beings. they first take note of how you present yourself, be it in dressing, in speech, in behavior, and mannerisms, or even respect for time before they notice anything else. You may be saying something important, but all they remember is that you arrived to the meeting late or that you appear unkempt. Similar to a commercial brand, a personal brand is a collective representation of how one is perceived by their publics. It is a silent and effective way of communication between a person and their publics, differentiating them from competitors based on uniqueness and distinct values. The practice of law has grown to become a very competitive field. You have to develop values that set you apart from your competition. With personal branding, one is able to establish themselves beyond a resume and further determine who they are as an individual and how they can be an asset to organizations. Self-branding is about thinking of oneself as a brand product that can be viewed strategically and creatively in a competitive market to bring maximum value to an individual and their company. Every year, hundreds of lawyers admit at the bar, and the journey of career progression commences. Within a year or two, some become more valuable than others. This is because they are able to identify a niche where they demonstrate that they are reliable, they are credible, they are authentic, they have integrity, and they are prepared for opportunities. Some become valuable because they are creative. They are able to provide solutions to problems in the most innovative and creative ways. This makes them unique, memorable, and reliable. As a result, they are acknowledged and recommended when opportunities present themselves. Capta, 2003, defines branding as the image created in the minds of people when you think of a name, a product, or a person. Personal branding can be described as capturing and promoting an individual's strength and uniqueness to a target audience. Your brand cannot attract everyone and everything. Then it shall cease to be a brand. You have to choose areas of practice to be well known for. That way, you are targeting specific client needs, and your network knows you to be good. They must know you to be good at something, and they are able to confidently refer certain clients to you. This is equated to an individual's success. The individuals must cultivate their personal brands to enjoy professional success, as it influences how successful they become when selling their professional services. Jennifer Saxon, Senior Director of Corporate Communication at Mind & Body, noted that by having a network of people who know you, who can vouch for you, and who are willing to be references, is important for furthering a personal brand. Core to developing this network is personal values. Such a network is formed of people in the profession, your peers, your superiors at work, your seniors in the bar, and members of the bench. Ask yourself whether these people can vouch for you. And I'm throwing this challenge to you today, because sometimes an opportunity is presented in your absence, and it's up to those people to table your name. This can only happen if you have a good personal brand, one which they are willing to be associated with and can confidently vouch for. How then do we establish this brand? Knowing that you need to have a personal brand is just that, knowing. Taking steps to establish and develop it is what is important. Building a personal brand is a deliberate effort. It can't happen by chance. It is a choice you have to make if you intend to be successful in your career. So you have to start from within yourself. You have to start by challenging yourself. Take an introspective look. Evaluate yourself. You may involve other people that are likely to give you accurate feedback on yourself. Make a choice about what adjustments you need to make in order to create the personal brand you want. This process also includes identifying a niche, what type of law you want to practice, what do you most enjoy doing, what has the most demand and pays best. This shall enable you also decide your target audience. The more specific your niche, the more likely that people will remember you when they need a lawyer in that specific field. Do not limit yourself in your practice. Be known for being very good at something. You can't be good at everything. Based on introspection, set goals, plan, and define your brand. Your goals need to be specific. Where are you now? Where do you want to be in the near and distant future? Knowing why and where you want to be should help you decide how to go about it. It is important that you set timelines and milestones to signify the progress of actualizing your personal brand. Setting your goals gives you something by which you measure success. Alignment between long-term and short-term goals is critical to your achievements in respect of establishing that brand. You are able to track the progress. Once you have defined how you want to be perceived, you have set your goals and identified your target audience, you should create your personal brand mantra. Summarize in one sentence. Say, I want to be the best commercial litigation lawyer, extremely reliable and result-oriented. That can be your mantra. You shall be able to build your mantra by having unique visual identity that differentiates you from others. That visual identity has to be consistent and reflective of the goals you set. It has to be seen across all platforms of communication accessible to your target audience. Communicate your brand by being on useful social platforms and participating intellectually. You know, now with social media, people are finding themselves in all sorts of social media platforms, some of which are not useful, some of which are not value adding. Have a website showcasing your brand and how to access you, and let it be known where you run your trade from, your office line, your work email. You cannot be a briefcase or perhaps bigger, a suitcase lawyer. Share some intellectual work in form of commentaries on issues in your area of practice. Well-researched and written pieces. This may seem like free work, but it communicates your brand. In doing all this, carefully design the content and language that communicates your personal brand. How you communicate your personal interactions, especially on online posts and social media, says a lot about you and your brand. Remember, your target audience is there. Your opportunities are there too. Once you have established your brand, you have to manage it. Remember, getting noticed the first time and setting yourself apart from the rest is the first step. Remaining relevant is another. Remember today, if you walk into a forest, which tree do you see? You don't see the short bushes, you see the tall trees because you can be able to see them. In order to remain relevant, you have to keep developing yourself as a professional and maintain a good reputation. Career development plays an active role in maintaining and improving your personal brand. This is achieved through continuous acquisition of professional skills and experience. By so doing, you become capable of taking on even more opportunities. You shall be strategically placed to take promotions within the organization you work in, or vacancies opening up in other organizations. Provide legal services in emerging areas of law. Be regarded as an expert in certain areas of practice, and receive referrals or be called upon to assist other members of the profession. This can translate into monetary success, more experience, and you build your personal brand more. Another aspect that shall enable you to remain relevant and which you must not lose at all costs is reputation. Mehmet said reputation is the only accepted currency in the world of work. If you are a person of good repute, you do not hunt for opportunities, opportunities hunt for you. Attaint on your personal reputation tarnishes your personal brand. Ladies and gentlemen, in conclusion, you must be deliberate if you intend to succeed. You cannot count on luck. Choose to create a personal brand, and above all, maintain your integrity and protect your reputation, because these are immeasurable and are intrinsic in maintaining your personal brand. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you so much, Senior. Thank you very much. That was an excellent presentation, brief, concise, to the point, very much like what you're known for. You have a brand that precedes you. And before you leave, I wanted to ask a question. I was listening to your presentation and I thought, where does failure fit in? Do we, as you build your brand, as you create a reputation, as you seek, pursue a niche, where is the space for failure? What should we do about failure? What if we start and falter? If I thought to myself a year ago that perhaps I should pursue commercial law, and I feel that I'm not making any headways, is there room for me to look back and reassess and pursue something different? And as we evaluate, you've spoken about evaluation, as we evaluate ourselves, what are some of the pointers? What boxes do you tick in that process of evaluating who you are and what you would like to be?
Failure often happens. You try things, they don't work. But what distinguishes you from the next person is your level of tenacity, your level of perseverance. Remember, I did mention that you have to persevere. A lot of people are in a hurry. You got to be patient. I mean, some of the clients that I work for now took me 20 years, but I never gave up. Even today, I walk into people's offices and they say, we will see you in about 2 hours. I'll wait. Give me a cup of coffee, give me a newspaper. I'll wait. But we're in a hurry. We want things cooked yesterday, not cooked now, cooked tomorrow. And that kills us. You may get into an area that you are passionate about, but you fail in that area. There's always room for you to tweak yourself. And for a young lawyer, time is on your side. Don't be in a hurry, but again, you need to take stock of why you failed. Was it because you didn't have sufficient professional skills in that area? Was it because you are looking unkempt whenever you walked into a client's office for work? One day I took a client to a lawyer's office. I was doing a referral, And as we were sitting in that in that lawyer's, the lawyer now is a judge, I will not mention his name, we saw 3 rats running after each other. And the client says to me, please, can we leave this place very quickly? I said, why? My shoes are going to be eaten. So I had to be very candid with that lawyer. And I said, please, you need to move offices because you are now perceived as a man operating from a back street, and you may not be able to attract clients of a certain niche. So you must be very deliberate what you do. Yes, you can fail, but dust yourself and move on. But you do introspection and say, I failed because of this, and try and fix that.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Senior. I think that captures it really well. And the rats is definitely something I know many of us will remember for a while. Joeria Nachayune, I hope I got his or her name right, says online posts and social media says much about you. Now, I'd like to pick up from her statement or his statement and ask, is there a need to distinguish between your personal social media presence and your professional social media presence, in this sense that I know, and I do follow you on social media, so I know that there is a social media handle for Mohammed Muigai Advocates, and then there are social media handles for yourself or any of the persons that work in your firm. Is there a need to distinguish the two? And if so, what's the best way to go about it? Or should one just focus on, this is my brand, I am Esther Angawa, and my firm is something separate, or I pursue legal aid using a different outfit, and therefore each of those feed into their different spheres?
That's a fantastic question. On my part, I'm not in social media at a personal level. Even on WhatsApp, I quit. The posts on social media can speak about a person. If these days, if you apply for a visa, you are going to the US or wherever it is, they ask for your account and they check what it is. People have been known to lose jobs because of social media posts. You can imagine, sorry to use the example, if you have a professional platform in a social media one where you are posting nude photos, surely a client coming to you, the first impression is that this person is not serious. So the point I'm making is that either way, whether in the social sphere or professional sphere, you got to be very, very, very clear, very deliberate, because it will speak of your brand. Now, I've seen some of our colleagues posting, if they go somewhere to eat, they'll post the food they have eaten. They have bought a new car, they'll post that car. How do people perceive you? Are you just flippant? Are you a show-off? Are you what? The client says now, this man is charging me this much because he wants to buy another new car, which is going to post. I mean, so you have to be very careful, because these things can speak loudly of what kind of person you are. You have to be very deliberate about building your brand. When they see you, what do they remember? They see an unkempt person. What do they see?
Thank you very much, Senior. I know that you had indicated that you had very little time to be with us. Yes, but we're very happy that that you joined us. Just one last question. One last question I would ask is, you spoke about reputation, and this is what you said, that if your reputation is destroyed, then that affects your personal brand. There is a trend recently, and I think perhaps it's because of, you know, the increase in the use of social media platforms, and also the fact that even mainstream media platforms are now on social media, so that there isn't quite a distinction between, you know, the newsroom as we used to know it before and what it is now. What happens in the instance where such attack on somebody's reputation is of no doing of their own, perhaps by, you know, we've got, we call them in Kenya bloggers. I don't know if they have any different name across the East African region, or we speak about people who are paid for a particular purpose to taint somebody's reputation. How does one deal with that with regard to their personal brand?
That's a very, very good question. Unfortunately, in this era of social media, people are not able to distinguish between formal and informal sources of information about persons. But remember that if you have built a certain brand where people can vouch for you, they know you for your integrity, they know you for your straightforwardness. When they see such posts, they'll say, no, that cannot be so-and-so. That cannot be so-and-so. And therefore, if you build a strong brand, if your brand is shaky, they say, yeah, we don't know that one. We don't know what kind of quantity that person is. But if your brand is strong, it will stand all those. And the people can stand up and say, look, that is not so-and-so. I think these are people who are trying to tarnish that person's reputation. So you must build a brand which can stand or withstand such challenges.
Asante sana, Senior. Thank you very much for coming. Thank you for joining us and for speaking to us, the young lawyers of East Africa. We are very grateful for your time, and we hope that you will engage much, much more in future events under the Young Lawyers Mentorship Program of the East Africa Law Society. Thank you again for your time.
Thank you very much. I will actually send this paper to the Secretariat, and they will circulate it for further reading. Thank you.
Fantastic.
Thank you for inviting me, and all the best.
Asante sana.
All right, thank you.
There you have it from the Senior Counsel himself, Mohamed Nyauga of Mohamed Muigai Advocates. Thank you so much. We are on track, on time, and I would now like to invite Senior Barnabas Tumusingize, who will be speaking to us about positioning for the future. How do we leverage networks for a successful legal career? Karibu sana, Senior.
Thank you. Well, I'm talking about networks, and I'm talking about networks in the context of one, international law firms coming together to associate with local firms, say, within the East African region, or just law firms within the African region coming together in some form of association. Generally, the networks, I think, are in two broad categories. There is the vertical network where more or less one would say you have one law firm whereby, say, things like budgets, even technology are more or less shared across the board. But there are also those other networks which are more or less like in form of relationships. And maybe I will speak more about the one which is more or less in the form of relationship, because that is the one that I'm familiar with. That is the one that I'm more or less associated with under the DLA Piper Africa group of law firms. But maybe before I do that, I also wanted to have a look at why have global law firms been interested in Africa? Because you will tend to realize that over the last 10 or so years, there's actually been a great deal of interest by international law firms seeking to associate with law firms in the region or even within Africa. In my view, I think economic growth and investment prospects, creating opportunities for business and investors, has attracted law firms from an international perspective to partner with local law firms. But as most of you will also appreciate, in most cases, some of the big international jobs, say with the World Bank, African Development Bank, always require a combination of an international law firm and a local law firm. The international law firm can do the English law opinion, draft the arguments, but they cannot do the local opinion work. They cannot do local securitization, and therefore there has always been a need for a fusion between the international law firms and the local law firms. There has also been an increased commercial awareness on the part of African law firms, with firms seeking collaborations, basically, to be able to position themselves to be able to do international work. And of course, there are advantages due to shared legal systems based on civil and common law models. You'll find that, for example, some of the principles, say for common law, cut across the board, and therefore it's much easier for firms to be able to come together. As far as Uganda is concerned, and I think this applies to several other countries across the region, the network and alliances that I'm familiar with in Uganda, for example, include those local firms which are associated, say, with Norton Rose, ENS Africa, Lex Africa, Bowman's, Denton's, and I think from a regional perspective or from an African perspective, the Africa Legal Network. The firm for which I'm managing partner joined DLA Piper in 2010. Maybe to put this in context, it's not like plain sailing, because lawyers from London, and I believe at that time even lawyers from Nairobi and Tanzania who were already part of the DLA Piper group actually came shopping for law firms in Uganda. So they had to consider several law firms. They sat with the partners, had an interview, and at the end of the day, did some selection. So it's really not a plain sailing that you get associated with an international law firm. As I speak now, DLA Piper Africa Network has firms in Africa, Nigeria, Angola, Botswana, Burundi, Ethiopia, Ghana, Kenya, Mauritius, Mozambique, Namibia, Nigeria, Rwanda, Senegal, Tanzania, Tunisia, Zambia, and Zimbabwe. And they are still out looking for more law firms in countries like Egypt, Malawi, and several other African countries. Maybe one thing that actually I can then speak to is, having been associated with the network, what are some of the advantages that really, accrue to law firms out of associating with these networks? Number one is about client and work referrals and access to diverse range of international profile clients. In this, we have actually seen the firm do work that we would not have actually done if we were not in the network. Or for example, work that would be, say, across the region. I remember one time doing work which involved cross-listing for a certain company. The law firm that we are associated with in Kenya did the cross-listing in Kenya. We did the cross-listing in Uganda. And the Tanzanian firm did the cross-listing in Tanzania. Something that would not have really happened if we were not in that network. But also, one most important aspect is that before the network, if, for example, I needed a lawyer in Kenya, I would have to make a few calls here. Who can I speak to in Kenya? What sort of lawyer can I refer work to? I now no longer need to do that. If I have work in Kenya, I know I have a specific law firm that I'm associated with. I know the lawyers, we have met several times, we have spoken several times, and I know their work ethic, I know their values, and therefore I'm in a position to pick my phone, call a lawyer, or send an email, and be sure that the kind of referral that I've made will actually, give me results because of the association that I've had over the time. The other advantage is access to resources on a cost-shared and cost-subsidized business. Because we are several lawyers, say, under the DA Piper Africa network, we are able, say, to subscribe to certain resources like practical law at very subsidized prices, because we are many lawyers and therefore we can take advantage of certain discounts. In addition to that, if I needed a template or if I needed a certain authority that I cannot actually get locally, all I need is send an email to London or send an email to Washington or New York or Brussels or Geneva and get the kind of authority or the kind of template that I actually need. The other advantage is knowledge management and enhancement initiatives. For example, we have had lawyers come from South Africa, lawyers come, our colleagues in Kenya come, sit with us, have strategy sessions, and therefore there is some sort of what I would call cross-pollination. As a firm, we are very strong in energy, we're very strong in employment law. Several times, several of our lawyers have had to travel to Kenya, sit down with the lawyers in Kenya and share ideas in certain areas. We're not very strong, say, in private equity. IKM, the firm that we deal with in Kenya, is very strong in private equity. So we have had to benefit a lot from the expertise in that area. The other advantage is about secondments. Before COVID, twice a year, the firm would send lawyers for 3 months secondment in London. The advantage is that they would actually be able to meet lawyers from other countries across the African continent. That helps because one-on-one, you've met a lawyer in London, you've been there for 3 months together. If you have a matter in their respective jurisdiction, you are able to call a given lawyer because you put a face to this person, and therefore it's much easier to speak to the lawyer you met. And even before then, before COVID, we used to have our East African interface meetings where lawyers under the DA Piper umbrella meet in one East African city, share ideas on various topical issues. So secondments have actually been beneficial to the lawyers. And as I've indicated, we have also been able to benefit in certain areas like strategy sessions, financial management and business development sessions, because knowledge across the board, we are in a position to share ideas and benefit from what other jurisdictions do best. I know I don't have much time, but the question is, how can young lawyers, harness such opportunities? As I've already indicated, more or less, the international law firms will go out looking for firms to associate with. So there's a certain level at which a law firm must be before this association takes place, because there's a certain sense of mutuality in that if these international law firms are going to refer business, they also expect that if there is business which they can do in your own country, in areas such as high-end corporate work or international arbitration, you should be able to refer that work to them. In fact, at the end of every year, we have actually got to make an account and say, how much work, say, did you refer to Kenya? How much work did you refer to Tanzania? How much work did you refer to London? How much work did you get to London? And therefore, in that context, it is important that a law firm must have reached a certain level whereby they are able to capture high-end level corporate work or high-end international arbitral work that can be referred. And therefore, there is need for high technical ability and depth, a strong understanding of the local market, diverse client profile, financial transparency, because you've got to be very open. Some of these jobs involving having to share fees. So if you're going to negotiate $100,000 and you're going to report 50,000, that may not augur well for a relationship. So there's serious need for financial transparency and maybe an understanding at the very beginning of the work, if you're going to do this work together with an international firm, how much of the fees are they going to take and how much fees are you going to remain with? Integrity, honesty, and trust are absolutely critical. Every law firm in the association has got to sign on anti-bribery and corruption agreement. The international law firms take issues of anti-bribery and corruption very, 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 very seriously. The last speaker was talking about social media. We all know how information travels these days. Any kind of international network or international law firm would not want to be associated with a local firm that is not honest or that engages in very dishonest practices. So integrity and honesty is very, very, very key. And of course, if you're a young law firm, you must be able to continuously invest in your people and operational structures because there are certain basic standards that are actually required. In actual fact, one of the requirements is that this is actually work in progress, that there must be a certain look and feel. So that if, for example, these are firms in a DLA Piper network, if you go to a reception in Zimbabwe and a reception in Uganda and a reception in say Zambia or South Africa, they should actually all look similar. So at times there is a certain level of investment that is required to be able to meet standards across the board. My time is up. I'll be open to any questions, but on the part of the firm, I can say that there has been a lot of benefit from the networks, and I would encourage the young lawyers where these opportunities arise, study the opportunities, look at what the international law firm can offer, see whether you have the resources, and if the deal feels good, please join. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Senior. That is quite insightful. I hope that you will be with us to the end because I wanted to take the questions to you during the plenary so that we could have our next speaker, who is Senior Charles Roy Chungura, who will speak to us about client care and law firm management for young lawyers. We will field questions to you, Senior, at the plenary. Thank you very much. Senior Charles, are you with us? Okay. I cannot see Senior Charles on the platform. Perhaps we could take Miss Florida Kabasinga in the meantime.
Thank you.
Miss Florida, are you still with us?
Yes, I am.
Thank you very much. Good to see you today.
Same here.
And we cannot wait to hear about the young lawyer's ethical dilemma. How do we balance a successful career without getting ourselves before a court of law and behind bars, or having penalties imposed on us for unethical behavior, or even getting disbarred?
Thank you. Maybe before I proceed, may I request ELS officials to get in touch with Charles, because I think he said he didn't receive a link. He sent an email. So in the meantime, while I present, maybe they can sort that out.
Perfect. David, could you do that for us, please?
Well, thank you, Esther in Florida. We are trying that. I think he's having connection challenges. We are trying to have him on board, but we are in communication right now. So
Thank you very much. Please proceed, Senior.
Thank you so much. I take this opportunity to thank ELS for inviting me to join this conversation. And I like how it's packaged, that it's a conversation of sharing experience, because no matter how long you've been in practice, you actually always face ethical dilemmas. So it's not a question of young lawyers being the only ones concerned with this topic. It's an issue that cuts across probably most professions, but in ours in particular, I'm very interested in this area because I think maybe in introducing me, you did state that I have experience as a prosecutor. Actually, half my career has been as a prosecutor, and half my other career now is with acting as an attorney on behalf of clients. So these different legal parts of the legal practice face different challenges, but I'm very interested in talking to lawyers that are at the beginning of their careers, because in my language, we have a saying that it's better to straighten a tree when it's young, because once it's old, you can no longer straighten it. So these issues, maybe we should be thinking about them right at the beginning of our careers, because once you get used to acting a certain way in your profession, then it becomes habit, and then it becomes literally what you do through reflex. So I have had the opportunity to work in different environments, multicultural environments, local environments in my country. And I can tell you, you discover quickly that what we take for granted as ethical standards are not the same across the board. So presenters that spoke before me actually did mention that there are ethical standards that each bar association already has, and that must be respected by every member of the association. Otherwise, you end up before a disciplinary committee and sanctions are laid out for you, which becomes a reputational issue. You do not want that to be you, because as you know, our professions are very interrelated and interconnected, such that that becomes your brand. This is what you become known for. And you don't want that to be what becomes who you are, because eventually, even the networking that we've been talking about, nobody wants to associate with you. If you want to have any connection with lawyers or law firms that take the ethical issue very seriously, they will not want to work with you. And you will quickly discover that within the same network or association, for example, in each individual country, we all know who the lawyers' standards are. So what I would urge lawyers who at the beginning of their career to do is that while there are ethical standards that each bar association looks at, you have to have personal standards as well of ethics and that guide you. And those are the standards, because at the end of the day, unless somebody does bring an ethical issue before the disciplinary committee of the bar association, you become your own policeman, because it impacts your work and your reputation. While we are speaking to young lawyers, we have all been young lawyers at one time or other. So listening, hearing from us, maybe if you take away 1 or 2 points that may help you, it would be something great. So I know that when you're young and you're coming out of law school, some, lawyers have different motivations and different needs that they want to get out of this profession. So you should be purposeful in knowing that while you may have needs, I mean, I do speak to a lot of young lawyers, and some of them tell me that they come, for example, from families that are not financially well-to-do. So they have educated them, and now it's time for them to start earning money quickly, and a lot of it, in order to be able to financially assist families, their own families. But the problem that comes with these kinds of motivations and needs is that you end up compromising integrity for that goal. If, for example, you see somewhere that you can cut corners on ethics, you go for it because this, at least I get the money that I need. If I want to be a commercial lawyer, and somebody who is a lawyer who has a law firm whose reputation is not great will tell you, come on board, but this is what you need to do, and you'll want to do that simply because they're offering you a lot of money. I mean, lawyers who have a lot of experience will tell you that we all know which lawyers within our practice areas that will do things that are unethical. So among ourselves, we do talk. So if we even see that you are associating with those kinds of people, we'll be talking, such that if you want to leave, for example, that law firm that we know does funny, unethical stuff, for other lawyers that are very serious about integrity and honesty and ethics, they will not hire you because there's an association that they are worried about because of your reputation and the reputation of the firm where you're coming from. So while you have needs at the beginning, or while you have ambitions, while you have motivations, I would urge you to think about instant gratification as opposed to purposeful taking time and growing slowly in order for you to grow a reputation that eventually will attract the money or the motivations that you are actually looking for. When you come out of law school, I mean, when you're young and you're starting out in the profession, there's always a tendency, and it's a youthful thing that people do. There's a tendency to think that you're very smart, you know what you want, you know where you're headed, you want to become a commercial lawyer, you're smarter than everyone. But take the time to look around you and learn from others. You may want to immediately open your own law firm and do things at the same time as you might just join a law firm to get the experience. So at the beginning of your career, you need to take purposeful steps to get you to where you want to be in the future. And this will also include relationships with clients. I have seen, I think as you get older in practice and as you get older in age, you learn a lot from what you go through and experiences, such that you know how to handle yourself with clients a lot better. But there's a folly of lawyers not knowing where they will, who basically is giving you the fees and who is looking after you. So when you have a client, you don't want to antagonize this client. You don't want to be have a reputation of being abrasive, rude, and unprofessional. This will it's something that goes around very easily. The reputation goes around, and if you're working with colleagues, they will not want to associate with you because you're bringing them issues. And let me give a cautionary tale on something that happened to me. I had a conflict of interest, and I actually referred another lawyer to a matter, and it ended up being something that I absolutely regretted, because I didn't know this lawyer's reputation, but what happened between that client and that lawyer, obviously, the client was not very happy with me referring that person. And to be quite honest, because of what happened, I would never ever refer that lawyer any other matter because of the way they treated the client. When you're dealing with clients' money, you have to be extremely careful. Put this money in escrow or other documents, or if you have documents in escrow or other things, you have to absolutely make sure that what you agreed to do, is something that you must absolutely, your word has to mean something. I'll give you another example on what happened. We represented a client and eventually both sides decided that we should keep certain documentation in escrow, and we signed to that effect. They eventually had problems, but we had already agreed to certain steps where we will give the documents. And after the disagreement, one party just came to us and said, you give us the documents and all of that. But because we were bound by that, it's your personal word and what you have agreed to do that speaks and goes before you. And most people always ask for referrals. You will not refer anybody that you think has an issue. Another thing about reputation and ethics and all of that I can talk about, this is a conversation, so I'll go, and we have 10 minutes, so I'll go, I'll try to touch on different things. When I was a prosecutor, we had a colleague of ours who loved a good time. And we all know that lawyers mostly love a good time. So he would go out to bars with defense counsel, and in the evening, they're all having a good time. And the next thing we know, the defense lawyers are coming to court the following day and literally having information that they shouldn't have. So when fellow lawyers in the practice know that you're the kind of person who loves a good time, who will tell the story, who has no boundaries as to confidentiality, they will use that against you. They will invite you and have a beer with you in the evening and get all the information from you and use it against you and against your client. You don't want that to be an issue. So when it comes to taking credit for others' work as well, as a young lawyer, you should have a reputation of being able to work with others and giving credit where it's due. But now, before I leave, let me talk about conflict of interest, which is something that is an issue for lawyers. Conflict of interest is not just actual, but perceived. So if you think somehow that you are going to be perceived as having a conflict of interest, you should be your own police person, such that you stop yourself from going where you're not supposed to go. And I say this with experience of, as lawyers, we practice in different areas. Not only are we bound to just stay in one practice area, but we mediate, we arbitrate, we do all these other things that when you go into, for example, an arbitration and you're supposed to be presiding over something where not the parties, but the subject matter concerns one of your clients, you should be able to recuse yourself from that matter. Not simply because look at it in terms of what you gain out of it. The money is very attractive. And you look at personal interests instead of looking at ethical conflicts, so you can recuse yourself from here. For now, let me stop on that note because I think we even have a short of time, but I'm ready to answer any questions. I haven't had a chance to read the comments, but I'll look at them and maybe respond in due course.
Thank you very much, Ms. Florida. Asante sana. That was quite insightful. I will request, there are very many questions on the chats as well as the Q&A that have to do with the topic that you have just shared with us. And so if you could just take the time as we listen to Senior Counsel Charles, you could take the time to just type in the responses, and whatever it is that you will not have responded to, we can handle at plenary should we have enough time. Thank you very much. Senior Charles, here you're with us now.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, Mr. President. How are you?
Very well, thank you. My apologies. Technology.
You're very welcome. We'll go right into it. Please take us through client care and law firm management.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Hello?
Hello.
Yes, Mr. President, we can hear you.
Hear me?
Your network connectivity is a bit shaky.
Okay.
Now proceed.
Indeed, I can notice. I see. Okay. I'm supposed to be speaking on how to get clients and how to keep them. It's a very easy subject, and I will prefer to just give my thoughts from my experience on how to get clients, not only in the jurisdictions where we work, but even beyond the borders, and how to keep them, and definitely how to make the relationship between you and your clients a driving force in making your practice a success. We are living in times where, fortunately, for the young lawyers, technology has provided very many opportunities for one starting a practice to introduce themselves to the wider world and to clients locally and cross-border. And my experience spans from very many years ago. 1993 is when I launched myself into private practice. At that time, technology was virtually not there, if I may say so. If it was there, it was in a very rudimentary form, and you couldn't make use of it to make yourself known in the market. We used to do it manually, if I may say so. You visited clients, you were not allowed to advertise in any form whatsoever. So getting yourself known in the market was quite difficult. The only easy way to do so was to append yourself to a reputable law firm, be part of it, and those who will be your clients will not come because they know you. They will come to you because you belong to a law firm. They may not even know you are the person handling their task because they are talking to the managing partner and the senior partners. But finally, over years and after quite a lot of struggle, you would get to know clients here and there. Today, the scenario is different. The scenario is quite different. Talking of Tanzania, promoting yourself now is no longer frowned upon. We have a law which regulates promoting your skills, but it does not prohibit you from telling the world that you are skilled in this and that and that. In that respect, it is very easy for a young practitioner getting into business to launch themselves onto the market via the available platforms. We have Twitter, we have websites. So you can introduce yourself to the market in more ways than one. That is, pardon me. So it is easy to introduce yourself to your potential clients by having a very attractive and informative website, telling the world what you have to offer. And you can even distribute brochures, provided the language you use to promote your business is not, shall I say, indecent. You don't go and say, do you want a good divorce lawyer? Here I am. You want a divorce? We will help you get the divorce. Not that kind of language, but there is polite language, polished language, which you can use on your website to lure clients your way. So what am I saying here? I'm saying young lawyers should take opportunity of these platforms available. They should take advantage of them and be able to introduce themselves to the market much better than we would when we were young men and women trying to get into business, to get clients. That is one observation which I can make, and my experience is the paradigm shift from the way we use it to market our services and the current situation. These are worlds apart, and the opportunities are out there. Very many opportunities are out there for young men to start big time, if I may use the term. However, that is not the only way you get a client. Once you begin to get clients of good standing, you will get more by marketing yourself through those clients which you get for the first time. What do I mean? I mean, deliver services to the first client you get, to the first batch of clients you get, deliver services which are quality services, deliver them on time, keep your client on site, even if there is no development to report to him. Just send him a note, send emails, send WhatsApp messages, keep your client on site. You can be sure at the end of the assignment you are doing for him, he's going to market you. And we see this in very many situations. My firm does capital markets work. And yeah, my firm does a lot of work in the capital markets space. But I can markets transactions in Tanzania are far in between. They are very much far in between. You maybe you get serious ones maybe twice a year, at most 4 times a year. You sponsor a bond this half of the year and you sponsor another one. But fortunately, for some reason, we were able to impress the first companies that went onto the capital markets. And they marketed us big time. We were doing like 2 every year, but eventually we started to do more, both locally and cross-border. And it has really helped us to, our existing clients have helped us to get more clients because we delivered. We think we delivered very well, and we were very close to our clients. They liked it and they recommended us to others. Apart from using your clients to market you, you have to keep them. Getting a client is one thing. Keeping your client is another. And it is not very easy to keep a client. And if you really do not have time for them. Clients of today are very demanding, especially the corporate clients. They wouldn't like to miss you when they need you. They wouldn't take it kindly if you were required to be present somewhere and you were not able to do it because you are occupied with maybe another transaction. That brings me to the need to diversify. Solo practices are dying very fast, especially in Tanzania. And from the little experience I have, even in other East African jurisdictions, doing it solo cannot take you very far because you can't be in 5 places at once and be effective at that. Clients need efficiencies. They want lawyers who will be available, who will be giving comprehensive support, not just casual support services and then disappear to service other clients. Teamwork is the key to achieve this. If you have 4 partners in the firm, and let's say 4 associates in the firm, you are talking of a law firm that can diversify successfully, that you have a law firm that cannot risk to have clients coming in and going out. Once you get a client, you know there will always be someone in the firm, someone senior, to assist, to give support whenever it is required. Banks, for instance, those who give services, if you intend to give services to the banking sector, you ought also to go an extra mile. The laws in places like Tanzania change almost every day. And one thing the banks would not want to do is to run against the current of the law. And they need constant advice, even if it is not solicited. And there are law firms in Tanzania, those who are participating in this platform. I not hesitate to mention the name of FB attorneys. This is a law firm in Tanzania, but it is doing a great job in marketing itself through voluntary and solicited advice to the public through publications. And I know it for a fact. The MD, the MP, the managing partner is a friend, and I know how effective this tool has helped him keep his clients. And it is a tool I would recommend to everybody, especially to those young lawyers who are starting law firms. Training and the retraining will help you to keep your clients in keeping yourself abreast, keeping abreast with the current trends in the various sectors in which you work. In Tanzania, I would encourage young lawyers starting law firms to mutate, look at what is trending. Mining is in Tanzania. If you yourself out there, you are cutting yourself away from a very lucrative segment of the market. So keep yourself with the ever-changing statutory regime governing the industry of mining. And those from here, in Dar es Salaam and in Tanzania, they know what I mean. There is quite a lot of demand for legal services in the mining sector and in the banking sector, like I said. One thing that from my experience I've observed is that law firms which have resisted or shied away from they have run a risk of running out of steam. Now, and those especially who have shunned other areas of our practice and gone into liquidation 100%, they have suffered, especially during this period, the 2 years that we have had where we have had hardships. We have seen law firms starved of business. And clients run away. And in most cases, they run away to the Tanganyika Law Society to complain about laxity in the delivery of services on the part of, I'm sorry to say it, of the part of young lawyers. They cannot manage the workload in the litigation department. The demands of litigation require that in a firm, if you have decided to do litigation, there should be a team of lawyers who are going to be available to the clients to avoid complaints, to avoid frustrating your clients, because when you frustrate them, word spreads around in the market, and that will not stand you well. You are going to lose even potential clients who would have been encouraged to come and visit, boost your clientele. In some instances, we have seen young lawyers collecting money on behalf of their clients when they win cases, and the split between the lawyer and client is heavily in favor of the lawyer, and that is in a way criminal, unless you have agreed that the split will be on the ratio which you have applied. You run a risk of not losing your, but even one day finding yourself criminally charged. And the clients in the market would not like to take a lawyer who is in a way inclined to take money from them. Now, moderator, I would like to know whether the session allows me to pause and ask if there are any questions, or am I going to present until I exhaust my time slot in order to answer?
We will have a plenary session. Actually, we're running behind schedule. We had 10 minutes for each of you to speak, but you have covered quite a bit of the topic, and you've brought in quite a lot of insights, which I'm sure we have very many questions. I can see so many questions are coming in addressed to you in the question and answer section, as well as through the chat section, which I perhaps may request that while we listen to Jack Mayol, you could just type in answers to those questions, because very many questions have been leveled to yourself based on your presentation.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Senior Ajak Mayol, are you with us? Ajak Mayol. Thank you very much. We're running a bit late. If you could be succinct, we would appreciate it. Let's hear from you about the confidence gap and claiming your space as a young lawyer.
Well, thank you very much. I'll make it very, very short. I'm sorry I came in late. We are having issues of time. We have just recently changed from +3 to +2, and it is really, really affecting us badly. I even thought I was having an hour to go, but all in all, here we are. To go with this topic, bridging the confidence gap and claiming your space as a young lawyer. Actually, I would say this is the core of this webinar. Unfortunately, I'll be very short. I myself, I think I'm bridging between the senior and the young lawyers. I don't know where I belong, but I think I belong in there. I would start this way. That in all sense, one thing that anyone can ask is, what are the most important things a young lawyer needs to have to become a good lawyer? And my simple answer is self-confidence. Self-confidence in a sense that they have to believe in themselves and they can lead or they can make things that happen. They need happen. We might have all self-confidence while in our law schools, but the moment one graduates and come into practice, the real practice now, it becomes a totally different thing, where you lose that a little confidence that you had, and you will be struggling to try to catch up with what your senior is doing. For those of us who started and under some senior lawyers and work under them for some time, it was always important that we sit down with them, especially in the morning. Like myself, I would wake up at 5, prepare myself by 6, 7. I'm in the office, and I have to sit down with my senior, try to understand some of the things that I have done yesterday, and I might have found them challenging. That I have to do like them. Sometimes others would say this is wrong. Some of the seniors might have not even known what they were doing at some point, and you will do the same way they are doing. This, I would say no. A senior always with the practice that he has done all this long knows what he might have done over time. He might have got it wrong. He still have to do it right. And now you are under him, that you also have to learn and get something right. With clients always need to hire lawyers who have confidence, lawyers who have inspiring personalities. But how do we get these inspiring personalities? How do we get confidence? Most of the time, you have to get confidence by availing yourself to any opportunity that is in the firm, to try to be the first person who could help in any solution seeking. You should have to repeat actions every time. Repetition become part of you every time. If you do it right this time, still continue to make it right. To gain that confidence, you have to practice what you are doing right. You have to keep on practicing it. You have to eliminate negativity. You have to reaffirm positivity into you. And you have first to believe in yourself. If you don't believe in yourself, others would not. I am very happy that some of the things that I wanted to touch were touched by Muhammad earlier on. I have had my internet on and off, and this confidence will let you develop your own brand. You will have to be known that you have a niche somewhere, and people will come to you. Clients will not shy away from you anymore. They'll have to know if they want this and that, there is someone here. Should you be in a firm or should you have established your own firm, that's all the same. Your brand will have to come up simply because you are known to have your this self-confidence. And in this, you would have claimed you would have claimed your space as a young lawyer. This in brief, I think I'll have to save time and stop here. I'll wait for some questions and also divulging. Thank you.
Thank you very much. You are quite on time. Thank you for that. We'll listen to our last speaker, Miss Doreen, and she's going to talk to us about the future of the legal practice by leveraging on technology. Doreen, you have 10 minutes. If you could do less, that would be great. In the meantime, I request Ajak and Florida and Mr. President, if you could just answer the questions on the question and answer section, that would be much appreciated. Doreen, take it away.
Thank you very much, Esther. Thank you for all participants. I'm going to take you through some thoughts, and I've actually prepared a presentation, but I will go quickly without considering the presentation. Technology. The relationship between law and technology forms two distinct areas for discussion and debate, but both are intertwined and no discussion is complete without acknowledging the other one. Statistics can reveal that, especially Technology and Innovation Report 2021, ranked Kenya is as the 17th country, Uganda as the 128, Rwanda 133, Tanzania and Burundi were graded 138th and 145th respectively. This survey was done on how the country used and has adopted artificial intelligence, superfast internet connectivity, the Internet of Things, big data, blockchain, 3D printing, and so forth. Now, the great question is why young lawyers need to embrace technology. Lawyers need to keep pace with the ever-changing advisory needs of their clients in adapting their work processes to keep up. And technology is a key component, vital to the success of the modern law firm and legal professional. So young lawyers have to exercise the efficiency, the efficacy and optimization advantages that leveraging technology brings. In other words, technology will enable young lawyers to focus on what lawyers do best, which is the practice of law. Again, where do we stand? Where do we stand in regards to technology? Here we can distinguish two main levels. We have the first level where the most common use of technology is probably the use of certain devices such as computers, scanners, telephones, photocopy and fax machine, and also computers, particularly Word, processor software like Microsoft Word, are playing a significant role in the legal practice. The second level is a level whereby lawyers has embraced technology and attained a certain degree. For example, there is a Pan-African law firm which has announced that it has invested in Kira. It's an artificial intelligence solution which maximize efficiency in key legal processes across its mergers and acquisitions, private equity and compliance practice areas. And the firm's initial implementation of Kira to legal due diligence reportedly made with success, and positioning the law firm as one of the first in Africa to not only deploy but also train an artificial solution in the Africa context. There is also another example of an international law firm which has launched a new platform in its South Africa offices that leverages different components of legal tech product used in its office and elsewhere in the world to create a unique internal product that is built from the beginning with Africa in mind, according to its Global Chief Information Officer. And if I take the example of Burundi, I think we are embracing technology because most of the law firm has already in place tools like laptops and also websites, social media, and so forth, but they are not very competitive at a regional scale. And specifically in our law firm, Rubea & Advocate, we've developed a human resource management tool from scratch. And now, what are barriers to embrace technology? There is first security concerns. Law firms and lawyers have maintained a high level of security in regards to documentation and information by client, and some of traditional law firm will store its sensitive information in a safe place than trust the information on cloud. And this reflects the phenomena of the legal cycle, trusting its internal system than an external system in storage of data. There is also manual process of carrying out daily operations. Most legal systems in the world still use manual process to carry out their operation. For instance, the judicial officers still to peruse hundreds of pages before making a ruling or judgment in a case. And these handles a techno-savvy lawyer who intend to adopt technology since manual processes are also involved. And there is law school curriculum. One of our biggest struggles in the future of the law professional is law schools because they are still generating 20th century lawyers. What we need is the 21st century lawyers to meet the demand of companies and individuals who want a low-cost legal option that is conveniently available and delivered technologically. Now, how the tomorrow young lawyers will look. Young lawyers are likely to be tech savvy when they arrive in the law familiarity with consumer technology. It also seems probable that increasingly the training of lawyer will have a low tech component and law firm will insist on general legal tech competence. There is also legal artificial intelligence. The big promise of artificial intelligence will assist lawyers to practice if only they can remain its master and not find themselves summarily replaced. For now, legal technologies such as machine learning and predictive coding have taken root, particularly in digesting huge amounts of information, such as contract review for electronic disclosure, as well as document review. And like a likely candidate for technical innovation is convincing, where clients can relatively easily be given enhanced access to the process, in particular real-time information about the progress of the transaction. Another point is the online codes. On that point, I will just briefly give two schools. The first school or first generation is the idea that people who use the code system submit evidence and arguments to the judge online or through some form of electronic communication. Essentially, judgment move from the courtroom to online. In a digital society, we should certainly be able to institute extended codes where we go beyond decisions made by judges to do some kind of diagnostic system to guide people regarding their legal options, how they assemble evidence, and provide alternative ways for dispute resolution. The second school or generation is of using technology to transform the legal system. What Richard calls outcome thinking is to use technology to help solve disputes without requiring lawyers or the traditional court system. It is entirely conceivable within a relatively small number of years that we will have systems that can predict the outcomes of court decisions based on the past decision by using predictive analytics. Imagine if a lawyer had the option, instead of waiting for a court date, to use a machine learning system to make a prediction about the likely outcome of a case and then accept that as a binding determination. Now, tomorrow's lawyers will be the people who develop the system that will solve clients' problem. These legal professionals will be legal knowledge engineer, legal risk manager, system development, experts in design thinking, and more. They will develop new ways of solving legal problems with support of technology. There is also cryptocurrencies work. I think young lawyers have to be great specialists in financial and business law areas so that they are able to give the appropriate advanced advice in all possible transactions regarding cryptocurrencies. There is also the Internet of Things. This means the Internet of Things supposed action to be done by machines instead of human beings. And it describes the network of physical object things that are embedded with sensor software and other technologies for the purpose of connecting or exchanging data with other devices or systems over the internet. This means young lawyers work with clients will be on the priority of Internet of Things matters, including big data, data minimization, cloud storage, technology transactions, and so forth. To sum up, young lawyers need to stay relevant. How can we stay relevant? We need to forward thinking. We need to innovate in a newer and better ways of making sense of technology instead of shunning it. We need to have the culture of innovation. And if young lawyers are not consistently innovating and engaging, they will be very eroded. Thank you very much for listening, and I'm happy to respond to any questions, and over to you, Esther.
Thank you so much, Doreen. We hope you can share your presentation with the Secretariat at the East African Law Society so they could share it with those of us who would like to go through it in depth. And I can see a few more questions coming in to you directly on your presentation. Most of the other questions have been answered. My brother Munabi, are you with us? Munabi was to assist me as we go through the plenary. And I can see that most of the...
Excuse me.
Yes, are you here?
So, yeah, we are running out of time because you're supposed to close at 4 p.m. East African time. So it is now almost time. We're remaining with two minutes. So probably I'm suggesting we agree that we extend our session to other like 10 minutes, but normally going beyond, it's not advisable. So I would like to propose, because I can see many questions have been answered. So I'm suggesting if every panelist can take like 2 minutes to make a final remark or in regard to his or her presentation, and also to attend to any question that has been specifically directed to him or her. I think that's the best approach. Otherwise, we are lawyers. We have to respect time. Yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Mr. Vice President. You're right. I'll request we begin with senior. Excuse me. Sorry. I request that we begin with Senior Barnabas to give us your closing remarks, and perhaps as you do that, if you could kindly address whether or not the networks that are created between specific firms and international law firms are a way to go around the rules under our local laws that determine who practices before which countries. Is that a way around those laws?
No, I want to believe that all the networks, have respect for jurisdiction and do respect regulatory issues in each and every regulation. So, I mean, if, for example, one was required to come and work here full time, say like some of the lawyers who we send on a secondment to London, if they are, for example, required to work beyond a certain number of months, where working there or being there on a secondment would require, for example, to have work permits, then DLA Piper has got to ensure that they actually get work permits. Where they stay in London up to a certain period of time, and say UK law requires that they should have medical insurance, then DLA Piper ensures that they have medical insurance. So to answer you, yes, in those networks, there is respect for local laws, there is respect for regulatory nuances. Maybe I can only end on two notes. One is, I think one lady asked me about 3 things that every young lawyer maybe should take into consideration as they start their career. And I think I simply answered 1, hard work, 2, honesty, and 3, patience. Because I think there's a tendency in which young lawyers appear to be so much in a hurry. Then I think Munabi asked me something about, sort of like that you see the networks are sort of going for big law firms that have ring-fenced certain type of work. As far as I'm concerned, I think it all really, gets down to patience. Because when I was starting, when I started practice, for example, certain banks had work done for them by certain law firms. As of now, you'll find that, for example, there is the whole concept of panel law firms. So you have a bank like Stanbic having a panel of about 7 law firms, no longer 1 law firm. But you see, what that also creates is that there is competition among the law firms. If I'm a head of legal of a certain law firm and I'm dealing with 7 law firms, I'm able to appreciate who does my work well, who does it best, who is always present, who attends to my call, who responds to my email, and who gives me feedback. So really, it's just a question of who has a competitive edge rather than really ring fencing the work. But a word of encouragement, with the time, the young lawyers would also be able to attain a certain level of competence and therefore sit on the same table with the big law firms and be able to attract big work. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Seniors. President Charles, are you with us? Your parting shot. Ms. Florida, you have answered the questions extremely well on the chats and on the Q&A. Any closing remarks?
Yes, somebody asked and I wasn't able to respond on the chat. What are the areas maybe young lawyers should be thinking about going into? I think, Africa is changing a lot, and the practice of law in Africa is changing a lot. I think going into investment finance, securities law, banking and financial markets, these are interesting areas where young lawyers should be looking to do, to upgrade their knowledge and have qualifications in those areas such that they will position themselves for the future of what's happening in Africa. The final thing that I want to say to young lawyers is to really create a lot of capacity in yourself and such that your work speaks for you. Somebody asked about connections. If you don't have connections, what happens? just know that law firms are businesses. If you have a quality that they're looking for, a capacity they're looking for, they will not care about connections. Somebody else asked about the fact that they don't have a job now, how can they sell themselves and all of that? You can do a lot of work that is not paying you instead of not doing anything that creates capacity in you. When I moved to Rwanda from practicing internationally with the UN, I actually didn't have a reputation created locally yet. And I used to go to the bar association and actually offer my services every Friday to people pro bono. So that way you are creating capacity, you're creating a reputation. Do not sit back and expect people to come looking for you to offer you jobs. Be proactive. Be proactive, and that doesn't mean that if you're not getting paid for the work you're doing, that you're wasting time. You are not. You're creating capacity in yourself, you're creating networks, you're doing a lot that is going to stand you well in the future. I wish all of you good luck. And one day I hope you'll be the ones that are speaking to young lawyers as we have been today. Thank you.
Indeed, thank you very, very much. You don't have to work to be paid. I think that's my parting shot from you, Senior. Jack, are you with us? Your parting shot? All right, Doreen?
Thank
Are
you,
you still
Esther.
here?
Yes, yes, thank you. I will just end by quoting Mr. Noah Harari, who said, people are usually afraid of change because they fear the unknown, but the single greatest constant of history is that everything changed. Means the practice of law will be rendered absolutely needless if practitioner of the law did not innovate. By saying this, I would like to encourage each and every young lawyers to take up from technology, to make it as their own, to study, to make research, and to learn from lessons of other international or biggest law firms, and try to innovate from their pace, try to moving ahead from where they are now. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Jack? All right, Mnabi, your closing remarks?
Thanks, Esther. I'm happy to have been part of this meeting with young lawyers. My word is to the young lawyers, to avoid the challenge of temptation. I call it the challenge of temptation because you're tempted to leave a firm even when you're not ready. You're tempted to start your own law firm even when you're not ready. You're tempted to use clients' money even when you shouldn't have. I think that's the biggest challenge that covers most of the challenges that we do. Yes, we work in law firms that do not pay us well, but then there is experience and knowledge that we are getting from. We can fight that challenge of temptation, then we shall be good to go. I'll look forward to another chance of interacting with young lawyers across East Africa.
Thank you very much. Thank you very, very much, Mr. Vice President. Thank you for the opportunity to moderate this session. We have learned a lot, and we hope to have greater insights in the upcoming mentorship sessions for young lawyers in East Africa. I'll hand you over to the Vice President to close.
Thank you so much, Esther. I'm sorry I want to apologize, especially to Philip Munabi. You were supposed to have like 30 minutes together with Esther to moderate the session on questions and answers, but because of the time, you have been given 2 minutes like others. Sorry, probably for the next time we shall find a way of compensating you to give you some more time. So I shall not say many things. I can only thank our speakers from Mohamed Nyaoga, who has left us earlier, Senior Counsel Barnabas Tumusingize, Emeritus President Charles Wechungura, Freda Kabasinga, Jack Mayor, Hans Dorini Lakoze, and Philippe Munabi. So thank you for your time and thank you for your inspiring words. I'm sure that young lawyers have captured many words from you, and I think this session has been, it shall contribute to the practice of young lawyers from now and onwards. So I thank everyone who has attended. I expect to see you next time, because the Young Lawyers Mentorship Series, it is a continuing program. I don't remember when the next session is scheduled, but it shall be in the next month. The program that every month there must be a session for young lawyers. So people have been asking about the sharing of the materials, and he said that we need to presenters. I think the Secretariat shall find a way of sharing such materials. But before that, don't forget that ELS is present on Facebook, on YouTube, and on Twitter. So David shall inform us how people can get access to those materials. David, there was a question saying, shall you send the materials through emails that were used to register, or there is another way of reaching our audience?
VP, yes, the materials are going to be circulated through the emails that were used to register. I've already received presentations that I'm going to share, and I'm also going to share the recording of this entire webinar and a link to our YouTube channel where you can also re-experience the session. So it's going to be available.
Yeah, thank you so much, David. So I wish everyone a good afternoon. See you next time. Bye-bye.